Hello, welcome to Musical Mondays. Hello, 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 welcome. Thanks for joining tonight. Hey Denise, thanks for joining. Tonight's episode will be all about singing and my voice. Because as a singer-songwriter, hey Bernie, thanks for joining. I sometimes don't focus on my voice. Well, I shouldn't say I don't focus on my voice. I sing all the time on my live stream. But I'm usually behind my guitar and singing. So, I have no guitar strapped to my body. I am freewheeling it here in front of the camera with just me and my voice. So I did an episode a couple of weeks ago focused on singing and got feedback that people would love to have a part 2 because I don't think I got into everything. I got into a lot of stuff. I talked a little bit about my style of singing and some about my warm-ups. So tonight I'm just gonna see where the conversation takes us. I would love to know if you have any questions about singing or about my singing or my practice, how I prepare to sing, anything like that. Any question. So just put it in the chat and I'll see it as it goes by. I think you can probably hear the music in the background I've got playing. It's a fairly recent release within the last 6 months, and it's a remix of my song, The Great Acceleration. And it was remixed by Atlas to Earth. Hello, the Rad Cyclist. Thanks for joining. And I've kind of taken on this other identity as a remix artist or a synthwave artist. Hello, the Victoria House. Thanks for joining. And it's interesting, and the reason why I'm mentioning this in an episode about singing is that the remixes really focus in on my voice. Hey Dan, thanks for joining. Where Atlas to Earth, I've worked with Atlas to Earth on a few remixes, and he really keys in on some of those high vocal melody lines that I like to sing as a soprano. Hello, Tracy. Thanks for joining. So, please put questions in the chat. So this is part 2 of singing. Okay, so I thought I might talk a little bit about the difference between studio and live singing for me. There is quite a difference for me. I think live singing, there's so much... I always have so much adrenaline going and a little nervousness too. So live singing for me is any singing is a bit of a physical workout because I am using kind of my cardiovascular system when I sing. But live singing especially is quite a workout because there's all that adrenaline, I'm moving around on stage, playing the guitar. This is me playing the guitar. And so, my heart rate gets up. So breathing and breath control is so important for me in that setting, singing live, in a different way than it is in other settings, because it is super easy to kind of lose breath control and kind of lose control of my instrument, essentially, because singing is a lot about breath control and breathing, and really goes back to the foundation for me. A lot of my for my singing when I was younger, I guess I started when I was a tween and a teen. I did singing lessons and vocal lessons, and did study the equivalent of the Conservatory of Music up to a certain level, and so really learned quite a bit then about the instrument of my voice and the mechanics of my voice, and how to use it, and breathing. So actually, just maybe as an illustration, so right now with my speaking voice, I'm actually talking from here. I'm actually not using a lot of my cardiovascular system, so not the best to be talking right from my throat. So if I were to change that, so if I were to slow down a little bit and really kind of drop my breath down past my throat and past my chest and into my belly, my voice would change quite a bit. I don't know if you can tell from the quality of my voice, just my speaking voice, I'm actually speaking from deeper, lower than my throat right now. So that's some stuff that I learned when I was doing vocal lessons. So again, back to performing live. If my singing voice is all up here, I'm not going to be able to sustain those held notes that I need to hit, or even or hold, and even hitting some of the high notes that I need to hit. I'm not going to be doing my voice any favors there, because if I'm singing from here, that's not really going to go that well. So a lot of what I do is I kind of plan ahead when I'm singing and playing. So there's lots of not really multitasking, but there's lots of processes going on in the brain about when my next breath is going to come. And of course I would have rehearsed the songs previously, so I do have a sense of phrasing in the songs, so when I can expect to take my next breath. So by phrasing, I mean I'm going to sing a passage like, the great acceleration, the great acceleration. And I don't know if you caught, I took little breaths in there, so I am kind of sipping a little bit of air to keep things going. So that's what I mean by phrasing. So it could be that I am singing a song where I'm singing a long phrase. Let me think of one. I'll stick with the same song. So if I'm singing a line in the verse, if these are end days. So that would be a phrase. If these are end days. So starting from the first note in that phrase, I'm singing to the last one. So at the end of that phrase, I would take a breath, and not just a little sip between words. I would actually take a proper breath. And as a songwriter, I built that in to the line. Hello, Quince Questions. Thanks for joining. So if I do that again, let's get my breath going properly. If these are end days, I want to stay and watch the world decay. I can't do it alone. I want you in my arms. Hello, Noreen Braun. Thank you for joining. Okay, so that was a whole part of a verse I just sang there. So you can, I don't know if you caught that, maybe give me a heart or a thumbs up or something if you were catching the phrasing between each line. Yes, phrasing is important in the flow of the song, I see. Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, that totally is true. So let me see. So singing that song live, if these are end days, I want to stay and watch the world decay. Yeah, yeah, you know, that phrasing that's pretty doable for singing live. I'm not going to get myself into a situation there where I'm running out of air as I'm singing. But as I get into the chorus of that song, things get a little more intense. And as you saw a couple of minutes ago, I was taking little sips of air between the great acceleration, the great acceleration. Yeah, so there's a little bit about phrasing. Yeah, and in the studio, how would that be different? Let me think about that. The difference between studio and live. You know, oh, that's so cute. We've got a little family hour in here, Auntie Tracy. That's so cute, you guys. You know, I see, and not to put Noreen on the spot, but Noreen Braun joined, and Noreen is also a singer-songwriter. Noreen, anything you'd like to say about being a singer in your practice, I'd love to hear it in the chat. Yeah. So in the studio, you know, it's a very different environment than singing live. For me, singing in the studio is a kind of all about getting in the zone. And it sounds a bit ephemeral, but what I mean by getting into the zone is kind of getting into the feel of the song and transporting myself to a place where I am imagining and remembering the creation of the song and what my intent was with the creation. So there's definitely an element, a technical element to that in terms of breathing, but I'm also thinking about the emotion of the song and bringing that back into the studio and trying to communicate that through my voice and how I deliver that. So I may make decisions in the studio that would be different than when I'm singing live. And when I'm singing live, the emotions may come out differently because I'm reacting to people who are in the audience and might be listening to me singing. So the emotions may be, and the way I express a song may be quite different live. And that's one of the beautiful things about live is you can riff off of what's happening around you and be and I definitely can be influenced by an audience and how they're reacting to things and kind of be spurred on by that. So it's a little different than in the studio. And when I'm in the studio, I'm not necessarily imagining that I'm singing to an audience. It becomes more of a, hello Mark, thanks for joining. It becomes more of a, I don't know, like an introspective exercise for me. And I'm just reading what Noreen said. Thanks. Probably similar to you, Kelly. Practice and record to hear how it sounds outside myself. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Noreen. I really appreciate that. And spontaneity. Yeah, live performance for me can be about spontaneity. So for me, all the more reason to have that, have my vocal instrument well prepared and functioning well in a live situation. And in the studio too, just a few things about, everybody has their rituals or things that they like to do. And I think in the studio, I like to take my shoes off when I sing. I know there's just something about being grounded. So I don't go as far as say like a Katie Lang or somebody who actually takes their socks off and is really in touch with the ground with bare feet, but I do like to take my shoes off when I sing. And I like to be alone. Like I don't necessarily like to have an audience in the studio when I'm singing. Oh, Noreen, you take your shoes off too. That's great. I love hearing that. Oh, and Tracy's saying, or planted. Yeah, exactly. I feel planted definitely. Yeah, that's super helpful. Let's see. And so things that I might do. So we talked a little bit. What else did I say I was going to talk about tonight? Let me see. So that's studio singing. What else did I say? Vocal warm-ups. I think I talked about that a little bit last time too, but so Noreen's saying that she doesn't like an audience either when recording. Yeah, I don't know. It's a funny thing for me too. Like in the studio, I will suddenly feel a bit more self-conscious when I'm singing. So yeah, I really don't like people around, which is funny because up on stage, I'm not self-conscious at all. I mean, yeah, there might be some nerves or something, but you know, I'm ready to sing to an audience and share my songs with an audience. But yeah, it's funny in the studio. I guess it's that introspection and kind of that bringing the emotion and the feeling and the kind of myself into a song that is very much a private experience in some ways, which again is a bit of a contradiction because it's private experience, but it's being recorded to share publicly. It's a funny conundrum. Hello, Carrie Carruthers. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so vocal warm-ups. We have a question. Dan says, is your soprano voice falsetto, or would you call it a true head voice? It sounds more like a head voice than falsetto. I would say it's a head voice. My high range is my head voice. Yeah, falsetto. I don't know. I've never really thought about that, but I'm pretty sure that, yeah, I would call it my head voice. Chest voice, head voice, falsetto. And Mark's saying he likes the gang in the control room, the quality control team. Yeah, I know. I mean, there usually are people in the control room, of course, when I'm singing, either the band I'm working with or the engineer or producer I'm working with. Definitely they're there, but I don't really want to see them. I don't really want to be conscious of them being there. Yeah, the head voice. You know, for me, I think if I were to say that there's any one part of my voice that's the falsetto, for me, I would say it's the break point in my voice. And I think I went into that a little bit in the last episode. So for me, and I don't know if this is the same for all singers, I'll let the other singers in the room weigh in on that. But for me, there's a point between, I guess it would be between my chest voice and my head voice. In my vocal range, where I move to a certain part in my vocal range, where I call it the break point in my voice, where it's, I don't know, it can be not a very comfortable place to sing, and it's just like one or two notes. It's just, one or two notes in the scale when I'm singing, where I kind of shift, where I shift from the chest to the head, and I think of it a bit as a falsetto, and I think I say that only because of the way I sing through it, the way I sing through the break point in my voice. Depends on the song, but I can over sing a bit in those points because I guess I'm moving through that space, so maybe that's a bit of a falsetto. I don't know. Thinking that through, and I saw some other comments coming in here. Do I ever cup my ear to hear myself better when singing? You know, it's never been something I've done. I know that some people do. Oops, too much hair for you to see that. Some people do the cupping or the plugging one ear. Yeah, it's never really been something I do. I guess as a live singer, I've always been pretty well supported by having a vocal monitor in front of me. You know, there have been times when I couldn't hear myself sing, which was a bit of a challenge. But I guess I could feel enough and hear enough of my own voice, so I could feel the vibration of my voice and the notes that I was singing to get through that. Head voice is still supported by diaphragm, though. Yes, it is, definitely. And Dan was going to ask about that very thing as well, the point where it changes voices. I think that's common to use the falsetto technique to make the transition smoother. Yeah, and you know, it's funny because I have written a lot of songs for myself that really skirt that break point in my voice. So it's kind of funny. I don't know what it was, but I went through a period where I really didn't want to be singing in my upper range. I really wanted to stick around that break point. So I stayed in there. Yeah, oh, here, I'll grab my guitar and play you an example. I know I said I wouldn't have my guitar tonight, but here it is. How's our tuning? And I'm just gonna read a couple of other comments while I'm tuning quickly. Tracy saying that the ear cupping technique is a choir experience. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense with multiple voices around you, for sure. I can hear that. And Mark saying cupping seems to enhance the higher frequencies. Well, that would make sense because Tracy is my sister and has a very high soprano voice. So that would make sense that that's a technique she uses. Okay, so let me think. Used to sing in choirs, okay. All right, so maybe a couple of examples. I'm just thinking here. Yeah, this is a good one, actually. This is Coda. So it really starts in the break point of my voice. How can I lay me down to sleep? Forget the day and let dreams carry me away. And I must spill into day, covering up my hopes, scaring love away. And then it goes into the break point when the light goes out in your eyes. And that very line, when the light goes out in your eyes. See, I didn't actually do it that well that time. Hello, thank you for joining. Yes, you do need to sing again, Tracy. But yeah, that's an example of kind of skirting that line, that break point line. Yeah, so, you know, I wrote this for my own voice. It's kind of funny. I could have changed the key. You know what I did? I did actually change the key. There is a key change, a bridge in the song. But you know, I did play with transposing it a bit, but the song didn't sound as good. I don't know. There's just something, some songs are made for specific keys, and I think this one is a very good example of that. Maybe one more quick example. Does this go on the break point, or maybe it gets at Dan's point and Tracy's point about falsetto and the shift between chest voice and head voice? Okay, yeah, I'll sing a little bit of it and you guys can tell me. 'Cause all the others wanna love my hands, head for in the heart with a touch of sound. So that song, that's a very old song that I wrote when I was probably in my early to mid 20s. So that one kind of goes across the break point. It jumps, there's like an octave jump in there. So I'm kind of, yeah, I think I'm moving between the different parts of my voice for sure in that one. Not so sure. Yeah, I'm not so sure if I'm not hitting the break point there. I'm kind of jumping over it in some places there. Oh, thanks, Dan. Excellent example. Thank you. Yeah. Tracy loves my Green Heart t-shirt. Green Heart tree t-shirt. Thank you. You know, so let me think. Other things that I can share a little bit. Vocal warm-ups. I know I talked about this a little bit last time. Okay, thanks for sharing that, Mark. Had a few key changes that ended up being a battle between my voice and my guitar sound. Sadly, guitar won and it stayed in lower register. Okay, those guitars. You know, it's funny when I have co-written songs with other songwriters. Ron Yamuchi is a good example. We've written a lot of songs together, and Ron always says, "Oh, I wrote this song for your voice," and then I hear it and it's like, "Oh, that's on the break point of my voice. What are you doing to me?" So it's pretty funny, but yeah, it turned out to be a great song. It was the song's "Me Oh My," and it man, that was a challenging vocal performance. And you know, I have not performed that song live very much. I'm a bit scared of it, but perhaps I'll challenge myself to do it at a Musical Mondays some point. Yeah, you can hear what I'm talking about. Okay, so vocal warm-ups. I talked a little bit at the top of the show about breathing and the importance of breath control. So that's really what does it for me. So when I'm getting ready to sing or perform, I do, sometimes it can be just like 5 or 10 minutes of a quick vocal warm up and a breathing warm up. So just getting my breathing going. And there's something called box breathing that I do where it's, you breathe in on a count of 4, you hold the breath on a count of 4, and you breathe out on a count of 4, and you repeat that. And I do that for a couple of minutes, and that really just changes my energy and gets my breathing into a place where I'm not like hurrying, and you know, it's almost like you're like rushing and the breath is way up here. So it really kind of settles my breathing down. And other things that I do alone in the bathroom before a show, and I won't do it on camera, is I do some face exercises and stretches just to get the muscles in my face going, so that I'm, you know, ready to use my mouth to enunciate and get those muscles going when I sing. Yeah, so there we go. Thank you all for your comments and questions and feedback and sharing experiences. Yeah, face yoga. Face yoga is amazing. Yeah, oh, and Tracy's asking me to sing Blueberries. You know, I won't tonight because... Why won't I sing it tonight? Well, I guess I could sing a little bit. I want to try and keep... I always try and keep my episodes under 30 minutes, and then we're just pushing. So we'll see. Just because it makes it easier for me to reshare them on Instagram when I do that. But I'll sing a little bit. Maybe I'll sing the first verse and the first chorus of it. Okay. before she took my hand and filled it with broken glass. This old autumnal heart has been part of me now for 40 I will inherit, I will bear it, I will wear it, I will swear it, swear it, I swear it. This hole I have to fill, I fill it. I cannot carry, I feel it. So there you go, there's a verse and a chorus. So maybe you heard some of the things we talked about tonight in action. Phrasing, breath control, the movement between different voices, hitting the break point. I hit the break point and went across the break point in my voice in there too. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for the hearts, everybody. Thanks for being here. I hope you'll tune in next week because I'll have one and maybe two special guests next week. I'm premiering a new music video on the live stream next Monday night at 7 o'clock. And John Flatman, who's the videographer, is going to join. And Rebecca Dale, who is my intrepid friend, who is the actor in the video, may be there too. So I hope you'll tune in. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Yay. Take care. See you next time. Okay. Bye.